He recently won the Thomson Reuters Foundation Food Sustainability Media Awards. He's right here, looking very suave. Thanks for joining me. Good morning to you.
Thank you.
Look, was there snow in Italy? It looked like. Also, what color was it? Anyway, so the award is called.
It's the Thomson Reuters is the Food Sustainability Media Award. So it's an initiative of the Thomson Reuters Foundation, and then they did it in partnership with the Barilla Center for Food and Nutrition. It's one of the biggest food security think tanks in Europe. Yeah.
I know the story you did, especially was from one of your bases up north.
Yeah. This particular one was from the Brong-Ahafo region.
Or from the Brong-Ahafo region. Okay, so still the Savannah Belt, right?
Yes, yes, mainly.
But in putting together the story in itself, were you thinking of the award, so to speak?
It's quite interesting because this particular story is one of those things in journalism where you really set out to do one thing, but then on your way you find out something even more interesting.
One of those
even more interesting than what you're actually going to do. So we had gone to Techiman, working on a documentary titled Deadly Smokes. It was about how women who work in agro-processing, like gari processing and all of that, and how they suffer from the impact of smoke that come out of the use of inefficient cook stove. So the use of firewood and then the excessive smoke that come out of it. So yeah, so it was mainly about that. So we had to go and then interview these women who process cassava into gari. So when we went to one of these communities, we found that on that particular occasion there was nothing happening. This is a very busy, ordinarily busy food gari processing factory that has usually about up to 200 people, and yet there was nothing happening. So I asked, and so why aren't you guys working? And they said there's no cassava, there's nothing to work with, and it's only because the farmers are unable to bring their harvest onto the processing places. And so yeah, it really struck me, and I wanted to find out more, and then this is what took us to this community.
From Italy, and which city was it? Was it Milan?
Yes, so we're in Milan.
Okay, so when you were talking to us, you said there were other contenders, etc., who had come from perhaps more notable media houses in the West, etc. But at the end of the day, what fascinates, let's say, foundations like Thomson Reuters, etc., about some of the stories that we do here?
I think they are more interested in the human-centered journalism that
the poverty stuff.
Yes, I mean not necessarily poverty. I mean I think there's no point denying the fact that poverty levels are still high in Ghana, not just in Ghana but much of Africa. Yes, but then in telling that story, what we usually tend to do is to fall into what I call the poverty pornography, and so it's just about people being poor. Yes, people are poor, but then there are very little details to the way people live that would bring out even nicer aspects of their ways of life and all of that, which I think is missing in a lot of the journalism around poverty and inequalities that we do in this country. And so yeah, they were more interested in stuff like that, the story, bringing out not just the numbers, but then the human aspect of it, people hearing the issues from the people themselves. So yeah, that was what interested them the most. And you mentioned rightly that this was a contest that received a huge level of interest from all around the world, with entries from over 70 countries, mainly the United States and then the United Kingdom as well.
And that's you in your smock.
Yes.
This one is called fugu, right?
Yes. Yes, so
where did you buy this from?
I had this.
You were really exhibiting Ghana.
I had this from Yendi. Some guys we had gone to interview there. They do them. So yeah, I had this from Yendi. So yes, mainly that was it.
Okay, so we'll try and roll over the clip again and start it so that you get to have the beginning, how he was called and everything, and then we'll have great insight into it. So we're rolling it over and see.
To these issues. They praised it for showing both sides of the food supply chain and for highlighting that something as basic as an unmaintained road can have severe repercussions on the local and domestic food markets. A well-made, newsy, and creative report. This video was told very effectively and in a balanced and accurate way, and I couldn't be more excited to meet Justice today. Thank you. Congratulations.
This 5-kilometer stretch is one of many things standing between farmers here and the market. 70-year-old Joyce Farr is one of those farmers.
The
road is deplorable. Look at me. I'm old and weak. We can't do anything about the road. It's government's responsibility. During the dry season, cars use the road. But when it rains, no car can come here.
Huge amounts of food like this heap of cassava here continues to go waste in many parts of Ghana. And yet, this is a country where nearly 1.6 million people are at risk of hunger and malnutrition. And in many cases, like it is here in Amankwa Krom, it's usually because there's no way to move this from the farm gates to the market where they are most needed. And this is one of the places where cassava from villages like Amankwa Krom are needed. A gari processing factory just miles away, employing close to 200 women. But work here is slowing to a halt because they just can't get cassava supply. Country would never realize.
And that's him there. Richard, you're quite near there. But you know, the white people, they like the poverty things.
No, I mean,
it fascinates them about Africa.
I don't think
so do
that is.
You plan to do stuff in peri-urban and urban, you know, because we have a lot of poverty. Somebody may be in a rickety car, but also is poor. Perhaps maybe in the community I grew up in Ashaiman, you can go do something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
so that we get to know that we live in urban areas.
Yes,
because the white people, they always think that we're all poor.
Yes.
What's the focus of your next project?
So, I mean, mainly following up on issues like these, but again, like you're saying,
more poor things.
Urban. I mean, recently we did a story from Laboni and
that's great.
And La. I'm sure you saw
yes,
it.
I saw it.
About the word yes. And so it's not, and you are right. When you mention poverty, people usually
maybe we should do a story about the lack of a public transport system we don't have.
Exactly. I mean,
we have a yellow we're not patronizing.
Yes, and there's even a bigger issue, which there's a new term called non-monetary poverty. I don't know if you've heard it.
No.
People's non-monetary
I've heard about
poverty,
Bitcoins, cryptocurrencies, and things. I don't know about.
and so essentially what it says is that people like us who claim we have money, who claim we are working, and yet we are poor in essence because they even add issues like happiness as part of ways of measuring poverty, you know. And so yes, and
I'm not really a happy person. I think that I'm poor.
It's a huge, very complex issue that we are going to be focusing more on moving forward. And I think that this award...
So this is what we need to do. We need to make sure that as far as we're concerned, your social media handles are always active and people can reach you.
Exactly.
Because you're a brand unto yourself, etc. Where can people reach you?
So on Twitter, I'm Justice Baidoo. On Twitter.
Do I follow you?
You should. I don't know if
I
you do.
Don't worry. Try and have
on Facebook as well.
Try and be active and have more followers.
On Instagram.
I think that's good.
Yes,
Instagram.
Yes.
You're active on Instagram. I'm not active on Instagram.
Yes,
I don't have too many close to be showcasing. So
sometimes we think we do a lot of work and show very little for it. But yeah, we should be doing more.
And then you're on Facebook too, right?
Yes, Justice Baidoo.
All right, Justice Baidoo, thanks for all the good work you're doing. We hope that through you we can also improve our socio-economic levels as a people. Justice Baidoo, great man he is, does great work, and just won an award for himself and for us from Italy. Well, this is the AM show as always, and we're live from our digital address 0993341 in Kokomemle, right here in Accra. And this is where you can get your digital address, the App Store or the other one for Android. You can always go there, download the Ghana Post GPS app, and let us know what you think. Okay, Play Store. Yeah, Play Store. I remember it. So